Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and you're watching This Week in MTG Finance. As always, and before we get started, I want to thank MTG Stocks for allowing us to use graphical information for the purposes of this video. This has been a great week for MTG Finance. We've got a solid mix of collector card interest, reserve list cards, and good old-fashioned organic demand. So let's dive right into our top 10 list, and we're going to start right here with Feint from Legends. Coming in at number 10 this week, Feint from Legends is up 147% to nearly $3 for a common from Legends. Now the price on this one is likely being driven by collector demand. It really doesn't appear in that many decks. However, it's not entirely useless either. Feint for 1 mana at instant speed, we can have all creatures blocking target attacking creature become tapped, and then target attacking creature and creatures blocking it deal no combat damage this turn. So it actually could be useful in the sense that you could save one of your premium creatures from a surprise blocker. The Golgari colors got quite a bit of love in Strixhaven School of Mages, so it's no surprise to see Sabra Queen of the Golgari in the number 9 spot this week, and this is also up 147% to just over $4. It's a good solid card. I'm actually surprised that this one hasn't been kind of on the rise for a while now. For 4 mana, 1 green, 1 black, and 2, we're getting a legendary elf, so it definitely has that going for it. And we get whenever you sacrifice a black creature, you may pay 2 life. If you do, each other player sacrifices a creature. And whenever you sacrifice a green creature, you may gain 2 life. Really solid card, especially in the Golgari colors, and there's no reason why this wouldn't end up in something like Black's Vexing Pest, or even the new Witherbloom Elder Dragon. Coming in at number 8 this week, we have our only reserve list card on our list, and it's also one of the coolest cards from Magic's history, at least art and flavor text-wise. Brushwag from Mirage is at $13, and this thing's up 160% this week, as I mentioned, on the reserve list, so there's obviously no other printings of this card. This thing is so awesome in terms of art and flavor. First of all, you've got this wicked old looking art with this puffy, sort of hedgehoggy kind of dude, but the flavor text is amazing. Defiantly, the young Cyclops popped the Brushwag into his mouth. His cheeks suddenly puffed, his eyes bulged, and he was forced to agree with his elder. Amazing. Well, our number 7 winner this week ended up on our list purely for collectible reasons. That would be Enchanted Being from Legends at $2.44. This is also up 160% this week. Not a reserve list card, but it doesn't have any other printings either. And it really doesn't have much use beyond the fact that it is an old card from Magic's history and has purely collectible value. For 3 mana, we're getting a 2/2 creature, and it has any damage dealt to Enchanted Being during combat by creatures with 1 or more enchantments card played on them is reduced to 0. So like I was saying, pretty much useless in terms of play value, but it definitely has some collector value. Our number 6 winner, Retracted Image from Torment, is up 187% this week to $4.50. It's not old enough to be on the reserve list, but it doesn't have any other reprints either. For 1 blue mana, we're getting a sorcery that states, reveal a card in your hand, then put that card into play, if it has the same name as another permanent in play. So at very worst, we're getting a 1 mana spell that could probably put a basic from our hand into play. But on the other end, there's going to be times where we could just drop a bomb because our opponent happens to have the same card already in play. Combine this with the fact that there's a lot of new commanders that are tinkering and toying with the Magecraft idea, I can see why Retracted Image is on the rise this week. Alright, our number 5 winner this week is Essence Warden, specifically the Dual Decks Ajani vs. Nicol Bolas printing. At almost $8, this is up 202% this week. However, it's important to note that virtually every printing of Essence Warden is on the rise. Curious that the original Planar Chaos is the cheapest of all the versions, especially since the art has never changed on this card. Essence Warden is just a good solid commander card. There's no reason why it shouldn't be in most green decks. You're always going to get benefit from whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. And especially lately with decks like Coma, Cosmos Serpent, and Black's Vexing Pest, you can really get a lot of mileage out of a card like Essence Warden. Our number 4 winner this week is Orc General from the Dark. Here we have another collectible card that's on the rise. It's up 211% to nearly $5 this week. Not a reserve list card, however it doesn't have any other printings either, and it seems like it's one of those cards that likely never will be reprinted. For 3 mana we're getting a 2/2, and he has tap, sacrifice an orc or a goblin to give all other orcs +1/+1 until end of turn. Combine the fact that this was printed a very long time ago, it's never had a reprint, and supplies are generally low, a card like this is easy to buy out if that's something that you're choosing to do. Now in the number 3 spot we have a really interesting card in Beacon of Creation from 5th Dawn. This is up 225% this week to nearly $28. This thing has been strapped to a rocket. Just last week, it was only a $7 card and it's more than quadrupled in value. Although to be honest with you, I'm not surprised this card hasn't got more love in the past. It's kind of been hovering around the sort of $2-3 mark for many years now. For 4 mana, we're getting a sorcery and we can put a 1/1 green insect creature token into play for each forest you control, and then we shuffle Beacon of Creation back into its owner's library. So back in Zendikar Rising, we got a Shea Soul of the Wild that basically turns all your non-token creatures into forests as well. So Beacon of Creation would definitely fit well into a deck like that. Combine that with the fact that Golgari got a lot of love in Strixhaven, and specifically green in general lately has been doing really well in terms of brand new commander cards. It really isn't a shock that something like Beacon of Creation is on the rise. In the number 2 spot this week, we have the original printing of Urzas Avenger from Antiquities at almost $72. This is up 380% this week. It's had a couple other printings in 5th and 4th and that old sort of foreign language Renaissance printing from back in the day. Really just a collector's card here, not really a whole lot to say about it other than that. It really doesn't appear in any decks. For 6 mana, we're getting simply a 4/4 artifact creature that you can pay 0, give it -1/-1 until end of turn, and then choose from a selection of keywords. And our big winner this week is Scrap Mastery, specifically the Commander 2014 printing, up 787% to $14.50. We talked about this card actually quite a bit last week. Really good card in the right kind of deck. 5 mana, 2 red and 3, we get a sorcery, and each player exiles all artifact cards from his or her graveyard, then sacrifices all artifacts they have in play, and puts all of the exiled cards from their graveyard onto the battlefield. A bit of a dice roll, but if you can get a bunch of really awesome artifacts into your yard, Scrap Mastery could really pay off. Last week when we talked about this, the Commander Anthology Volume 2 printing had a massive price increase, and the Commander 14 version hadn't yet moved, and I said if you need to get one, now is the time to get one of the Commander 14. Well, this week I'm going to reverse what I said last week, because the Commander 2014 version just blew by the Anthology version. So if you still need one, grab one of the Anthology versions while you can. It will play catch up with the 2014 version in short order. Alright, before I get into cards I'm investing in this week, as always, if you're a subscriber, you know I want to thank you for your continued support. And if not, now's a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Okay, so the first one I have on my list this week is Creekwood Liege, specifically the Modern Masters 2015 printing. At just $5.50, there's quite a bit of a price disparity between this printing and the original Eventide printing at $10. Like we talked about in our top 10 list, Golgari got a lot of love in Strixhaven School of Mages. There's some really cool new commanders in the Golgari colors. So it's absolutely no surprise that Creekwood Liege has been on the move for the last couple of weeks, and I would expect this Modern Masters printing to play catch up in short order. Okay, so for my last 2 picks this week, I've chosen a couple of these mystical archives from Strixhaven. There is a bunch of these flooding the market right now. Strixhaven is getting opened en masse, especially the collector boosters. So if you really cherry pick, you can grab yourself up some good solid commander staples at bargain basement prices. And Crux of Fate is no exception to that. At just $3, it's priced at or below all of the other printings. Good solid card in black for commander. For 5 mana, we're getting a sorcery that you choose one, destroy all dragon creatures or destroy all non-dragon creatures. This is simply one of those cards that is forever going to have a spot in commander decks, and $3 for this alternate art version is a great pickup. Alright, and last but not least, we have Swords to Plowshares from Strixhaven Mystical Archives. I suppose this isn't really a spec play, it's more of a value play, at just $3.10. This is one of those cards that is going to forever be in demand in Magic the Gathering. It's played in virtually every format where it's legal, and usually as multiples of. It's currently priced well below all of the other printings, including some of the recent printings like Battle Bond, for example. So there's no reason why this won't play catch up with all of the recent printings or surpass their current values. Get your hands on some Swords to Plowshares from Mystical Archives while you still can, around the $3 mark. Alright, well, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of This Week in MTG Finance. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.